Jimmy?
Connect.
Okay, we are live now. You're welcome to another wonderful time for Purpose Summit. Sure you have been enjoying yourself and you're enjoying your weekend so far. My name is John Mabun. I'll be your host all through. I'll be discussing a very wonderful topic, how to get engaged so that you can be more productive in your work and you can be more productive in your business. That's what we're looking at. So you're welcome. I'll be picking up fully in the next few minutes. Amazing. So we've been asked to be careful if you have to go out, maintain your social distancing, keep washing your hands, use your face mask, do everything needed to keep you safe and alive. Don't forget, we need you safe, we need you alive. Your family needs you safe, your family needs you alive. So don't be careless as you get going about your daily activities. Don't be very careless. COVID-19 is not over yet. So that we have freedom and liberty to move around does not mean that we should think or forget that COVID-19 is still around the corner. It's still very much around the corner. And I believe strongly that God will see us through. So, again, just be careful. Maybe I should remind us, wear your face mask, wash your hands, keep your distance while you are doing your business. If you must enter public transport, be careful. And you are in public places, cover your nose and do all that is needful. In this particular episode, we are going to be looking at something extremely sensitive. Again, realizing that this season, most companies want to lay down people for one reason or the other. They are downsizing so that they can keep afloat. So that being the case, what we want to share today will be of interest. And if you are doing your own thing, you are doing your own business, you also want to listen. We'll be looking at 6 competencies that are very crucial and very key to what you do and how you do what you do. So it's going to be very, very interesting, very, very challenging, very thought-provoking, very insightful, and you are just going to enjoy yourself. So welcome there. Welcome there. If you are there, wave, let me know you are around so that I'll be picking up soon. So getting engaged. Interesting. So right away, I think it's safe to start. It's according to my wristwatch, like 2 minutes after, 2-3 minutes after, so it's safe to start. So you're welcome to Purpose Summit Online. Again, my name is John Mabun and I'm your host, and we'll be cruising through the wonderful topic we have that says engaged for workplace productivity and your business success. 6 competencies that if you have, you must improve upon. You don't have, you must develop. But there are areas that you just must do something wonderful about. So I would like to start up by sharing some brief insights with you while preparing for this. I just quickly, did a brief research and look at why is it that companies lay off staff. What are the reasons apart from prevalent economic conditions that they can't control? So what are other reasons? Assuming that the company is healthy, the company is sound. What are reasons why they lay off staff? What are the reasons why businesses fail, especially in Nigerians and among Nigerians. So we'll quickly look at these two as we plunge fully into today's topic. Alright, so let's start with reasons why employees get fired. I saw so many, so I just picked at random like 3, 4, 5 of them, and see how. One of them says employees get fired for taking too much time off, always asking for time to be away from work for whatever reason or the other. And then statistics says that 22% of organizations or companies have fired people for this reason. Maybe if we just keep asking for time off, they just keep asking for all sorts of excuses. So statistics say that 22% of organizations have asked people to go based on this. The issue of late coming and closing too early, of course, also for reasons. The statistics says that 41% of organizations have fired people. That's amazing. 41% of organizations have fired people. Social media posting, whether posting things about your organization or your boss that ought not to be. Social media postings explains that, statistics shows that 33% of organizations have disciplined staff. That's the word used. Have disciplined staff for this. Then issue of theft. Is that not amazing? People stealing from their company. 4 out of every 10 managers said they have fired staff based on this. Amazing. Now, reasons businesses fail in Nigeria. Poor product development comes up. Another thing that comes up is lack of planning. Another thing that came up is wrong partners, or choosing your partners wrong. Poor leadership, poor marketing strategies, and short-term thinking. Now, if you look at all these reasons, whether reasons why employees are laid off or reasons why businesses fail, there are some things that you can see that is common, and you can categorize all of these challenges primarily under 3 subcategories. The first one is, you will see here that people lack emotional intelligence. The second thing you will see is that people are not developing their leadership capabilities. And the third thing you will notice that is people do not develop themselves spiritually. Now, until these 3 are in place, you can be engaged, even with yourself, and you cannot be engaged with what you do. So that now brings up the question, what is engagement? I will try and define from different fields of life so that you can have a full insight into this definition, I would like to take from the military in starting. What is engagement? Engagement in military parlance is when you are combat ready, or when you enter into combat, especially with enemy, then you are engaged. You are engaged. In fencing, those that do sword fights. Engagement means that they have brought their swords together, ready to fight. That's engagement. In mechanics, study of machines and all of those, it is the movement or moving into position as it comes into operation. So you will know that once things begins to go into position, you know that there is engagement. Are you following it now? In the field of law, engagement is a pledge, or entry into a contract to do something. That is engagement in law. Entering into contract to do something. And I think that's the one most of us are familiar with. When you want to get married, you pledge your love, whatever it is, to your spouse or your spouse to be, then they say you are engaged. So it's just like when the military, sets the battle in array with the enemy, they are engaged. So that is the way it is. So with this understanding of engagement, let's now begin to look at how that can help you to be more productive in your office and in your business, if you have a business of your own. So engagement is actually achieved in business when your business objective now intersects the customer's objective. In other words, the people you have as your customers, what is it that they want, and what you do, once it intercepts, then you are what? Engaged with them, and you are moving. Now, if you are a staff, the moment you align with the values of your organization and you ensure it aligns with yours, then you are engaged. So we are now looking at 6 competencies you must develop for this to happen. Now, why are we looking at these 6 competencies you must develop for this to happen? 1, you can't be as productive as you should be once you are not engaged. It's like being committed to a lady or a guy that you don't have an agreement with. It won't work. So engagement is important because it precedes productivity. That's number 1. Number 2, you cannot engage until you see that business or that job as having something meaningful to you beyond salary or profit. If it is just about the paycheck or the profit you make from your business, you can't have proper engagement. It's just like the normal man to woman relationship. The moment that relationship becomes materially focused, that's usually a problem. So it is the same thing. So for you to be fully engaged with what you do, or whether your career or your business, there are 6 things you must know. I like to refer to them again as 10s of things. Why? Because these are the things that makes you happen. These are the things that makes you happen. These are the things that makes you happen. These are the things that makes you flow. You understand what I mean? It enables you in your business to just keep going on, keep getting creative, innovative, and expand. Now, in your career, it helps you to just keep doing it, keep delivering. You understand? It helps you to relate with your superior. It helps you to associate with the junior ones and colleagues. It helps you to meet organizational demands almost sweatlessly. It helps you to know without being told every now and then what is expected. So you need to be engaged before you can attain certain heights. So it's important for us to now know the 6 competencies that you will have to develop for you to be engaged. Now let me quickly say this. While you are getting engaged, I want you to know that it takes time. It's not just like a pledge. I pledge to be engaged with my business. I pledge to align with my job. It's deeper than that. There has to be continuous blending of your values and beliefs. You understand? So that your timings cannot begin to rhyme. Continuous blending. And that takes a while because you would have to experience some shifts, and shifts come sometimes with resistance. Let me quickly explain some things to you. Now, when you take a seed and you put it into the soil, what happens? It stays in the soil. Looking at it on the surface, you will think nothing is going on, but a whole lot is going on. Now, this is what happens. Once the seed is in the soil and you have covered it, you have sealed it down there, the next thing that happens is that the seed begins to absorb moisture and then starts swelling. But you can't see anything on the surface. It continues to swell. You can't see anything on the surface. Now it gets to a stage, it will burst. Once it bursts, one tiny something will come out. It's called radicle. Once the radicle comes out like that, it goes down. Why is it going down? To absorb more moisture. Now it has tiny, air-like substance around it. Those are the ones that will grow to become the big roots. Now with those tiny, it means it absorbs more water and more nutrients until the covering of the seed falls off. Once the covering falls off, what you will realize is that the seed, the internal part that has now absorbed water and nutrient, produces another one that goes up. So what happens is that with time, the shoot goes up and the root goes down. Now this is what I mean. As you begin to work on your engagement, just like in normal human relationships, it takes time before the root goes down and the shoot goes up. So while you are trying to engage, I want you to put this at the back of your mind, that just like the seed, for the seed to grow, that it takes time, it is the same thing for you. And some things will have to give way. Don't forget, the covering of the seed gave way. And then out of that seed, what it was never obvious grew out. So you have some things that will have to grow out of you in the period and in the seasons of engagement. So what will you need to do to begin to engage? Now let's start. First, competency. You will need to develop to be able to engage. Number one, the first competency is you will need to be sensitive to what, when, how of the things you do, whether you're an organization or you are doing your business. Don't ignore any details. Don't ignore any details. Every detail ignored will fight against your alignment. Don't ignore any detail. Begin to take every detail, into record. Why is this happening? What is happening? How is it happening? Now, why you must be sensitive to all of this is that as you begin to get answers to all of these questions, it begins to bring out of you the shoot and the root. As you begin to get answers to this question. So don't be in an office and you don't know so many things that is going on around. I'm just here to face my work. There are influences to your being able to deliver. Now the same business, you must know what is going on. Since you are the CEO there, you must be able to answer a whole lot of questions. Else, tiny detail will hinder you from being productive. It will hinder you from aligning. It will hinder you from engaging. You will just discover that some things don't just blend. Some things don't just happen. That is why you must be sensitive to what, when, where, and how. Now listen, I'm not saying you should go into office politics. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about you understanding your job descriptions so well. Your job expectations, what is expected of you, you must understand it so well. Now, the same thing for you, an entrepreneur. You must see yourself as being employed by yourself. So you must be clear as per your job details. A business that you don't run like you have a boss who can fire you will not produce. So that's the first thing. You must be sensitive to details. It is the beginning of engagement. Just like I've been comparing, when you are engaged newly to somebody, and for those of us that are married, you know that it took you years literally to be able to understand some things about your spouse. So it's going to take you years literally to be able to engage, because you are looking out for those things that you don't understand and looking for answers to them. So the second thing in the things of things to help you properly align, listen, When you are working, you expect to promote, isn't it? When you are doing business, you expect to enlarge, to grow, isn't it? Therefore, the second thing, you must quickly develop your leadership capacities. The capacities you have before you got that job or before you started that business will not see you through. Believe me. So you need to quickly build yourself up. You need to start learning fast. You need to start, gathering information. You need to start adapting. You need to start using. You need to start yielding yourself to so many new things. As it were, there will be things that you want to, fight. But the fact remains that you are now in a new terrain. So you must not fight them. Rather, you must begin to adjust and to blend. So, second thing you need to do to engage is develop new capacities. Develop new capacities. Once you are doing that, you are adjusting. Let's go back to the example of the seed. Imagine if the seed wants to grow bigger and it's still having those tiny hair strands like stuff and wants to use that as roots to sustain a big tree. Now you have seen that it won't work. The same goes for you. You cannot afford to continue with those small knowledge that you have that has brought you this far to sustain the big you, the big organization, the big promotion that you see. No. So to engage, develop your leadership capacity. And I add the word fast. Develop your leadership capacity first. The third thing you need to do to be able to engage, to be able to align in developing your capacity, the first thing is that you should do is what? You have to be sensitive. So the second thing we said is what? You have to develop your leadership capacity. Why? Because as you begin to discover stuff, you have to enlarge to be able to take them. Now, as you are taking them in, just like the root and the seed, as you are taking them in, you now have to begin to step 3, become sacrificial. Decide to do whatever it takes to go on. Before now, you don't have these challenges. Now, these challenges are coming not because the devil is all out against you, but because, now you are bigger than before. Or you want to be bigger than before. So, the things that will come to you, you would have to be sacrificial to be able to meet up and do and achieve and overcome. Now, why is that so? They are so challenging. The pressure is so much because you have never been at that level. You have never been at that position. So these are the reasons why you now have to, in taking them in, sacrifice. Sacrifice more time. Sacrifice more money. Sacrifice more reading. Sacrifice more exposures, visiting places. Sacrifice a whole lot of other things. That the space, that usually is enough will not contain you again. So you just have to be sacrificial. So what is the fourth thing that you will do to be able to align? See, it's becoming clearer that in aligning, in engaging, you are transforming. You are becoming a new person. You are adding to your old self that you have always known. So the fourth thing that is now coming up that you have to do to be able to engage is to learn to resist pressures. Your friends may not, possibly, are not growing at the same rate you are growing. They are not having the same set of challenges you are having based on your growth pattern. Therefore, they will tell you why you shouldn't do this, why you shouldn't do that. This is not you, that's not, no. You have to learn to resist pressures from them. Why? You can see where you are going and why this is happening. So resist their pressures. Resist pressures from them, from friends, family. When you don't learn to accommodate that, contain such pressures, you will never engage. To be engaged means to just be in it, extremely focused. Nothing else counts except that. If you want a key to open a door, you must put the key in the hole. The key must enter the hole. All that is outside is what is left for you to turn the key. So the key inside the hole is not concerned again about what is going on outside. It's just turning the engine. That is the way you are when you are engaged with your business. Know the core details. Resist pressures from friends and families that will say, why are you going to this extreme? Is this necessary? Dear friend, it is necessary. The fifth step, before the last one, this is the penultimate one. The fifth step, you have to learn to handle discouragement and distractions. Now, what do I mean by that? We talked about being able to resist friends and families and loved ones. Now, they will constitute at some stages, if you don't apply wisdom, if you are not intelligent enough to understand what is going on, the reason why some get late to work. You remember all of those reasons we shared in the beginning. The reason why some are just asking for permissions until they are sacked. The reason why some people have some behaviors or behavioral patterns that are working against them. So if you don't want to have such patterns that will work against you, then you have to learn to handle and manage distractions and discouragement. You have to know how to put in place the things you should put in place to ensure that you are going on gradually. Amazing. The sixth step, trust the process. Trust the process. Everything you have been doing, adjusting to your new positions, your new challenges, your new lifestyle, will begin to create a pattern for you, a process for you. Trust that process. Follow that process. It will lead you to your promised land. Follow the process. This is not the time to begin to ask for advices from your friends that are not doing the same thing that you are doing. So follow the process. Trust the process. As you do, the shoot will grow up. The root will grow down. The roots will grow. The branches of the roots will grow. And the shoot growing up will also produce its own branches until the leaves and the fruits begins to grow. Trust the process. When you do this, you find yourself thoroughly engaged with what you are doing. So in rounding up, let me tell us 4 beautiful rewards that comes with you engaging, so that you will have reasons to endure, to persevere, to develop staying power, so that you can continue to engage. First one is you'll be in a position to ask questions and then recommend things for your organization as an employee and for your business as the CEO. That's the first reward. The second reward is that you become a voice in that company. And for you, the businessman, you become a voice in your industry. It's a matter of time. Why? Because you are beginning to align totally. And you are applying all these 6 competencies. Before you know it, from that business, from that profession, you begin to experience national relevance. That is the 4th beautiful reward. The 3rd one, beautiful reward. And that is these are the same reasons why you should be ready to endure and persevere while aligning. Because the process of engagement or alignment, believe me, my dear listener, will change you. It will change you. And finally, global relevance is beckoning. It's beckoning. Especially when you hold on to these 6 processes of engagement. So, ladies and gentlemen, until you are engaged, you are not operating in your full capacity. So, if you have realized that you are not operating in your full capacity, check your engagement. You can't move a car until you start the engine, engage the gear, move the pedals. The car can move. Until these three procedures or steps are gone through, the car is not fully engaged, because you can engage the gear. If you don't lift your leg off the brake, if it's an auto drive, gradually you are not moving. So engagement is in stages. Engagement is not a one-time thing. Engagement occurs in phases and in stages. That is what I'm saying, and that is what you are going to experience as well. So, in conclusion, I have said it: until you are engaged, you are not operating in your full capacity. So let me remind us, let me recap as I go away. I expect your questions, contributions. Go to www.thelaterhouseNG.com and drop your questions there, and I will get back at you. So let me recap as I round up. First step: be sensitive. What, when, where, and how are questions that will start springing up. They should start springing up on your inside. Once that is happening, you are shaking yourself from your old self. You are beginning to realize the new one that you have to follow. Then the second thing is, as this new one is coming up, develop capacity to manage it. Develop capacity to manage yourself and to manage the new challenges. The next thing you want to do is to be sacrificial to go through. To be sacrificial to go through. The car that we used as an example hitherto was on one spot. But once it's engaged and is beginning to go on, it will enter all sorts of surfaces, especially in a country like ours. It will enter into the mud, it will enter into potholes, it will enter into some things that will even attempt to burst the tires. But you see, you have to be sacrificial to go on, because that cannot be the end of your journey. The next thing you want to do is resist pressures on this journey. There will be all sorts that will be coming, wanting to let you know that why should you put yourself through this challenge. You have to resist such pressures. And the fourth step that you have to take, the fifth step, that you have to take is to handle discouragement. Maybe things are now beginning to happen that you did not plan for. Hello, it's happening because you are there newly. Handle such discouragements. And finally, trust the process. Everything you are going through is developing a process for you. Follow it. Follow it without looking here and there. Follow it, and then you can begin to experience what is called engagement. Once you are engaged, you produce more, you become better at your productions, you move ahead, you move faster. So once you are engaged, the friends will begin to see that you will have mastered time management, you would have mastered speed, you can accelerate and do faster, and then you would have mastered discouragements, and then you are just so good, and you are ready to take up the next challenge, and the next challenge, and the next challenge. So until I come your way again next week, Saturday, 2 p.m., I say begin to follow the process that will make you fully engaged. So same platform, next week, Saturday, 2 p.m., Purpose Summit Online will come again. Tomorrow, Sunday, 10 a.m., let us hear the word of God together. Don't miss it. 10 a.m., same platform, let's share the word of God together. I give you full invitation. You want to support this ministry, go to thelaterhouseNG.com and give your seed there. It is much welcome. The Lord will strengthen and will keep you as you do so. Will keep your business, will keep your home, will keep you in everything you do. In Jesus' name. Thank you for coming. It has been Purpose Summit Online. And my name again is John Mabun. Thank you for coming.